You have to think of yourself like a radio station, right, or an antenna. And as you get more in alignment with your mind, your body, and your soul, you start to emit a very coherent signal that then pulls things to you from your external reality. That's why I say it's very important to do the community of yourself first, because if you're actively trying to be external without making sure that this is all clear, your signals are going to be confused. You haven't gotten yourself in alignment, so what you reflect and attract into your life is going to also be confused. What's up, y'all? So today's video is about how connection is the new currency. The reason why I'm making this video is because it was inspired by the video I'd made before called Building the Community of You. I see connection as different levels of internal and external nodes, I think is the word, of internal and external nodes that lead you back to yourself. And what I mentioned in that first video of Building a Community of You is that in order to have a great foundation for your mind, your body, your soul, and a sense of acceptance, fulfillment, and day-to-day happiness, you really need to take the time to excavate, like dig out and understand, and almost just like you would a garden, take out all the old debris, the weeds, clean out everything, and put down fresh soil that comes from building a foundation within yourself of, it could be self-improvement, and within self-improvement, I consider that spiritual, mental, physical, emotional. So for some, it might be getting a certain type of therapist. For others, it might be hitting the gym or reading books, learning a new skill. These things are stuff that can be done by yourself mainly, or maybe it's with a professional, whether it's like getting a certain type of haircut. It's more about stuff pertaining to you specifically. And the reason why I believe it's important to do not even just one, but multiples of these things over years, it's just maintenance after a certain time, is because it cultivates a sense of self-esteem within you. And how I perceived it nowadays, which I realized was very encouraging, was pouring into yourself is very encouraging because you get to do two things at once. You pour into yourself, but you also raise your esteem and sense of self, because especially once you do difficult things for yourself, you realize that no one would be willing to do this much work for you but you. And it's not to feel isolatory, like, oh, no one else will do this for me, I'll never find anybody to help me out. It's more to really be impressed by what you're willing to do for yourself, for your sense of fulfillment. You know, if you're willing to go to the gym, and it might require you getting up early and doing that, after a certain point, you know, once you become an adult, your mama ain't gonna do that for you. Even a partner, if you have a wife or a husband, they can't do that for you. And even past a certain point, no one really wants to, because it should be your responsibility, but people got lives to live of their own. And so the only person who's gonna really not only just get it done for you, but get it done the way you want, exactly for you, is yourself. And when you put that standard within yourself of, wow, I was willing to do this for me and that for me and that for me, you know, it really enlivens your perspective of yourself and who you are. You realize that you're willing to do so many things out of love or a sense of duty to yourself for the betterment of your life. The same way that your parents may have sacrificed for you, or a good teacher may have poured into you. You're doing all of these things for yourself for all of your life. And so the reason why I say that is it also does three things. It builds a connection to yourself, because you know, even if you're spending the day by yourself, you know, you're gonna hit the gym, or you might eat a good meal, or you take yourself for a walk, or you read a book. You do so much pouring into yourself that you build such a fertile foundation for you without even anyone being involved. So that's part one of it, right? The connection to yourself. But as you get going externally, it goes into more things outside of you. So maybe you start to find hobbies that are for you, but allow you to meet people on the same path. Or you start to try new things sporadically because you just want to put yourself outside your comfort zone for you, but you also get to meet people as well. But one thing I've noticed, especially as you do those things, is once you get a taste of really good connection and really good community, you realize how much of an asset it is compared to many other things. And I do believe other things have their place. Of course, like money for resources, or even just other types of assets like material objects. If you like clothes, or you want a certain type of car, they definitely have their place, and it's not to dismiss them. But one thing I've found, at least for me, is that, you know, if you have a simple meal and a great conversation with someone that you admire or respect, or you guys care about each other, it's almost like a magnified feeling of bliss, of that connection, that love with a capital L, like the archetype of love is lived between you two. As I go through getting older and go through life and just kind of learn more things and relearn how much I don't know, one thing that I find has become more evident in today's time is that connection really is becoming a new currency. Now, a lot of people will say it in terms of social media, how attention is the new currency, and that I do agree with. But I think the flip side of it is the two-way path that one-way attention becomes is also even more priceless. Because in this day and time, not to be pessimistic, but it's funny how we're the most connected we've ever been, but also the most disconnected we've ever been. You know, in terms of social media being everywhere, but a lot of people feeling lonelier than ever, feeling more misunderstood. The rise of a lot of mental health crises are going up, even though we have more access to information than ever. It makes it a curious question when you're not thinking about the downsides of like, why is that such a discrepancy? Like, what is the gap between the two? And I think that while we're advancing so much with technology, I think we've sort of forgotten a bit of the importance of cultivating the craft of connection as well. And I've talked about this in other ways of building your dream and being able to be a professional for things that you love to do, like art or fitness or whatever. But I think community, right, and building relationships is also a craft within itself. I especially am always impressed when I look at my parents and their generation, and you see the things like the cookouts and the gatherings and the way that they always bring food to each other. There is such a village mentality even in 2025 that emits for them because that's how they were raised, that it inspires me and also gives me a contrast to see how sometimes disconnected our more modern day cultures can be from each other, especially in Western societies. And I think that the new mindset, at least for myself going forward and what I feel is optimal, is really finding that better balance of a village and the individual. You know, I think that in some ways we've sort of sped up to try and keep our humanity at pace with technology. But I think that what we're due for is really redefining and regrounding ourselves in our humanity and then adding in tech again, saying, how does this aid us in amplifying the core fundamentals of what makes us feel fulfilled as people, as society, as a village? Going forward, paying attention to the different assets you have in terms of connection is very, very important for your mental health and happiness as a person. For whatever reason, as I'm getting older, the needs that I have are simpler and simpler in effect. And it doesn't deepen the quality of life that I have. In fact, it almost makes it easier to obtain because I want so many simple things at a high level that it allows me to focus and really be patient with the progress, because it's no different than you could buy a sweater from TJ Maxx, but there's something about making your own sweater and having that balance, because you're not going to make every sweater that you need. It's kind of a little bit too inefficient. But also, some sweaters you might take that time for. And so I think it's the same way with building relationships and joining and building your own communities. I call a thing called lifestyle design. And I didn't make this term, but I don't see it talked often enough to be a regular term that people use, like self-improvement or fitness. But lifestyle design is essentially you looking at your life almost like a story or a mix of Monopoly. It's a very constructible thing, and really putting in the places for yourself of what makes you feel fulfilled. A video that I posted last week called Why You Should Build a Prototype of Your Dream Life. In that video, I was basically talking about how there's two sides to it that I feel like are both customizable. Your legacy, that you should make more long in a timeline so you can be more patient with it and make it a part of your life rather than seeing it as all or nothing. And the day-to-day stuff that makes you feel fulfilled, like the type of foods you eat. If there's certain activities that you like to do that make you feel more fulfilled, like dancing or working out or reading a book or watching a certain, like maybe even like a gossip TV or whatever. Certain things that just make you feel fulfilled on a daily basis that you can incorporate throughout the week that leave you generally fulfilled. So with that being said, within lifestyle design, you take all these different components, whether it be big or small, and really kind of finagle and have fun with it, and really strategize in a way that allows you to build a dream life for yourself, one that you can live today and build over time for a really big vision over 5, 10, 15, 20 years. I feel that relationships are a very key component of that, if not the heart of that, because connection is not just externally, it's internally, so it's definitely important. But also as you get more external, it really connects you to the nodes of life that are amplifications of who you are. You have to think of yourself like a radio station, right, or an antenna. And as you get more in alignment with your mind, your body, and your soul, you start to emit a very coherent signal that then pulls things to you from your external reality. That's why I say it's very important to do the community of yourself first, because if you're actively trying to be external without making sure that this is all clear, your signals are going to be confused. You haven't gotten yourself in alignment, so what you reflect and attract into your life is going to also be confused. And if certain things are attracted to your life that aren't positive for you, you may not have the clarity to know that this is not for you, to push it away. And so I think that's why it's important to take the time to be with yourself, because as you then design your life, you design it from a prototype, which is what you can do by yourself, or mostly by yourself. Obviously, if you go to the barber, you go, you just do things that are around other people, that it's fine. It's not meant to isolate you, but to really narrow down what is yours and yours alone. Then as you go outside yourself, it's more coherent. And then you can experiment more efficiently. You know that, okay, this is the stuff that I've decided is for me. I want to really test if this is for me. Let me spend time in this area of this activity to see if this is the best activity I want to do. Or let me try this type of fitness because maybe that's not for me. Or maybe let me go live in this state because I actually might prefer colder weather. I never know. It allows you to be more organized with how you build your life. Yeah, I can keep going about this, but I think that's generally the gist. You know, connection is the new currency. And it starts with the connection to yourself. And I think as you start to really see a lot of these things in your life as moldable and malleable, you can really construct a life, a lifestyle. You can really design something that leaves you feeling fulfilled on a day-to-day basis. And I think allows you to deal with the stuff that you can't control that is difficult, like the economy or matters of politics, or, you know, where you live, if that's something that takes more time to change, or the dynamics with your family, things that might take more effort and patience to shift or build upon or double, like wealth or something like that, because you're setting up the foundation that allows you to then be in cruise control and be patient over the long term. So that's what I got to say for this video. If you enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe. I'm getting better at putting that at the end of the video. I always forget because I'm just like, if you fuck with it, you fuck with it. But definitely leave a comment if anything resonates with you or you have any extra thing to add. One of my favorite things to do in any video, not even mine, is to really look at the comments, because I think that hearing about other people's perspectives, especially if they're not the type to make content, there's a lot of valuable ideas and opinions that people have that they may not share in a video where you can find it publicly, but in the comments there's often little gems of quotes and references and perspectives that I think is really enjoyable to learn from and add to my repertoire of knowledge. So definitely leave one if you have something to say, but otherwise I hope you have a great day.